My name's Thomas Winter. I'm a lead learning designer at Leo in Brighton. I graduated from Lancaster Uni with a degree in English and philosophy, then worked in the publishing industry as an editor. Found my way into the e-learning industry proper down here in Brighton with a job at Epic, now Leo. So we're currently working with a large logistics company. We're global, spread around the world. And we're producing a series of e-learning modules to demystify the supply chain function. As a final consolidatory piece for this, the client has requested an educational game. Our sort of core challenge was to find something that enabled learners to get the core concepts of running what they call reverse logistics. So they had to understand that finding the most optimal route for delivering their products to customers and collecting at the end of their use enabled them to balance the amount of stock that they had in rotation and therefore optimise their profits. And so we had to find a way of creating a game where that was the learning outcome. We came up with an outline design, but obviously we were still thinking in terms of e-learning, and we had that fairly linear mindset of going from one screen to another with different things happening. So what we have here are some initial wireframes we put together for the first design solution for the game. There's a splash screen intro, which launches people into the game. We figured there may be a sort of mini tutorial or set of instructions. You then click play and you're given an overview by a character here who will set out what your goals are. And at this stage we're planning it to be very specific in terms of the objectives. So here on this screen it's set up with a network map area. You have a service centre in the middle and a number of delivery points that you need to get to. And it's your job to choose the order in which you send your truck around these various points to either deliver or collect pallets. We've got an itinerary panel that pops out, the amount of budget you've got, stock that you can purchase in, and a time indicator. Once you're happy with your plan, you've done your kind of calculations in your head, you would then click ship it, and you would move on to essentially an animation screen. So you'd see your plan put into action, deliveries occur, and the various quantities add up. That would then, once it's completed, go into a results screen where you're given a bit of narrative feedback on how you've done. And then you get the confirmation of results, so saying you've got a good score on this, a medium score on these elements. And if you had got the perfect route, you'd be able to get through to the next level. We went back in and had another session with the three of us together, pulling apart what we had done and sort of starting again with that mantra of keeping it really simple. And I was quite worried going into that workshop session to try and fix things because I had no idea what to do. Ed, our developer, input at the beginning said, why don't we just throw the learners into this? Let's not give them too much explanation about what we're doing, take away some of that structure. And that's what we did. We played out a game on the whiteboard where we threw people in, said, right, they're in charge, we're not going to give them any instruction, let's let them make the decisions about which route to take and who to deliver to first and see what happens. And the result of that was immediate. It simplified the whole thing. We stopped worrying about telling a detailed story and using pre-scripted narrative. We knew we had a mechanic that worked. As a result of doing these things, we started making mistakes. And those mistakes were both fun and entertaining because people got angry in the game, the characters would say funny things, and there would be an immediate learning outcome from that, and you would take that point immediately without having to be told it. So at the beginning, we have a similar welcome that sets up the scene for the level. And so on here, we've changed the mechanic to more of a plate spinning mechanic, as it's known. And that means that each of your delivery points has a requirement that changes each time you make a turn. And so you have to make the decision about who to go to first. Once you click, you see the truck make the delivery and the quantities change. And in that way, you're playing live, you're not doing a whole set of planning, so it's a lot more fun. And you can see your scores changing as you go through the level. you're kind of keeping people happy, and we're getting character feedback as you go through. This is a shot of the leaderboard, which will pull in scores from around the client's business and show you where you sit, and hopefully engage them to come back and have another go. So the game really is balancing the needs of your customers as they continually are processing and using products. So you have to keep people happy. You can't sit there and do nothing. You have to decide who's your next priority and think ahead. I was in Milan last week with a new client of ours, and we had a great session together. We had a kick-off on the first day, and then the next day came back for a content workshop. And it was great. We really kind of worked well together and brought some good ideas to the table on both sides. And at the end of that session, he sort of turned to me and said, "You've got a really interesting job, I'd never considered that before."
I learned something.